Hey,
What are we, a professional show now, or what the hell, man?
we freaking made it back.
I love it.
It's awesome. Hold on. We're not professional. I got to put the other background up. There we go. Boom. And I got to put the overlay up. Now we are professional.
There we go. Now we're there. We're getting there.
I had to put all the elements together.
How's it going? And we did this like all right this time. So am I going to be able to see comments?
Yes, we are. We are able to see.
Oh,
actually,
I see comments here, and these are comments from YouTube and from Twitch.
That's right.
This
so we
is
see
amazing.
exactly.
Hello, Rams Network on Twitch. So it's really cool. You know, we feel a little uncomfortable with this, but this is the deal. You know, we are a charity organization now.
Yes, we are.
You know, we are working with Rock Against MS, who are basically powering a network of shows on the Twitch network, Howdy Rams Network. And you can check out other shows that they're producing, and basically anything that you would watch on the Rams Network, you would be helping to raise money for Rock Against MS. And this is a really cool and enterprising way of making money for your charity. And Rock Against MS, you know, this isn't like donating to some big corporate charity or whatever with gigantic overhead and the money doesn't, you know, go anywhere. You know, this is really putting the money to the source of where it can do some good. So we're really proud to be a part of the thing. And let's get the show going today. Mr. And say hello. Actually, I should say hello to Angela, and hello to Taylor, and hello to Wicked Love Media, and some of our other friends who've been here before. I got to scroll. But how was your week, Michael? What's going on?
My week was really busy. Things are.
Yeah, what you been up to?
I've been doing a lot of editing work, a lot of video work. That voiceover you did for the second media group, our Freedom Media Group thing. We put that together. And we did the comic book cast broadcast there, the Coolest Alive.
Yes, how was Coolest Alive by you?
You know what? It was really awesome. It was a lot of really great energy. I would say Tori and Aaron are two amazing guys. Aaron, you know, needs to catch up on the technical end a little bit, but you know what?
He and I are working on it this weekend.
And I got to tell you, you know what? I know. Listen, you and me have been working on this stuff, and it's popping up left and right. You need this, and we're just trying to keep up with it and get it together. And look at us now. This is amazing.
I was having a production meeting with him, and I was kind of like, you know, I wouldn't even say this to you if I didn't have like my producer hat on, because we're making a show together, and like, you know, I want it to be, you know, I said like, and I've said similar things to, you know, Michael Zinn, like, you know, just this like trying to like get our rhythm and, you know, be able to, you know, because we really want this to be a nice intimate thing for everybody watching at home. But at the same time, like, when you're conscious of doing a show, if you don't have like a couple things worked out for yourself, you end up just kind of like tripping over yourself a lot and tripping over each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you kind of get a little bit of a mind for what you're both trying to achieve, and, you know, how you want to be able to segue and do things, you know, like we used to have people waiting in the back room for a while, and it was like, okay, tell them to get here.
You know
after we have a moment.
We thought we'd have time for a lot of guests, and you know what? The conversations get engaging, and
no, not even that. I mean, when we just like we were bringing people
schedule it
at this exact time that we were doing the show, and you know, and it really kind of truncates the, you know, our ability to be able to relax and get a good vibe.
It up the works a little bit. It did,
because we're supposed to set the space, you know, so it's nice and comfortable. So
we're setting the space now.
So anyway, yeah, it was great. Thank you to everybody who is listening and watching now that was there for that, and we appreciate it. The original Kens, hey Jess, and hello to you too, Michael. Yo, what up, the original Kens? Love you, baby.
You know what? I got something exciting that happened. This actually happened to both of us.
Okay, what happened?
So we had unexpectedly, I'm going to put this up on the screen. Boom. We had.
Isn't that so cool?
That's so cool. One episode of our show, and we've got some fan art. Let me put her Instagram up here. Thank you, Courtney Webb, for your.
Hey, Mom, I love you very much. I'm doing my show.
And Jesse's got a phone call. So, yeah, Courtney did this fan art for us,
and like some dried fruit or something.
We're just psyched about it. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
gonna
Thank you.
turn that off. So how's your mom?
She's great. She was shopping for me. That's a good segue for my awesome week. So
Yes.
I'm not allowed to spill any beans here, but I am allowed to talk about the fact that my family and I went on Celebrity Family Feud.
Exciting.
And, like I said, I can't give away details, but suffice to say, I was just so darn proud to be up on that stage with them.
Yeah.
And my dad gave us all like an introduction, and it was so clear that he had really taken a moment to go, what do I say about each of my
Dude, I'm
children?
feeling it. I'm feeling your energy right now. That's
It was
awesome.
very cool, and, because of COVID, there was this lovely thing, and it was just kind of lovely for this moment and sort of like how we are framed
Mhm.
because, they scattered us. They have us, like, 5 feet apart and 5
Oh,
feet apart in, like, triangulated, and so I was at the very end. I was number 6, which is my
I
lucky
got you.
number.
Even as a family, they split you
Yeah,
up.
so
Wow.
we were scattered.
Okay.
And because of that, every shot was just you at a podium by yourself.
Oh, interesting.
And, I think that was like one of the things that sort of hit me just seeing each of my family members at a podium by themselves and how, I wasn't just proud of my dad the way I've always been so proud of my dad. And I've always been so
Yeah.
proud of my mom. And like, if you see my mom and then you see my dad and he's giving these, sweet little epitaph introductions and then it goes to my brother, Cody, and my sister Shy, and my brother Shane, and
Mhm.
then me. And I was just like, I'm so happy to be here.
Did you cry?
Um, I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed now thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Well,
Like
listen, I
I
know you,
do.
buddy. Yeah.
Nightbot, did you know that gaming is good for
Yeah,
you?
so that's
Studies have shown in people that what is this shit? Is this something I have to deal with now that
hold
we're
on,
on
hold on.
Twitch?
Listen, this is multiple sclerosis information that's coming up on the Rams network
Oh,
coming through
okay.
this.
Well,
It's
that's
not
not too bad.
randomly like people spamming. It's
Okay.
and
All
we'll
right.
work it out with Nancy. She
Well, all
talked
right.
about that.
That's
It's
not
all
too
good.
bad.
It's
At
actually
least it's multiple sclerosis related.
yeah. Well, and it'll also give some information where you can donate. Our donation page comes up with that.
Taylor is asking, when does it air? It airs in the summer.
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 Oh,
I don't know when.
I didn't mean to put that.
There was talk that it's probably going to be their hour-long episode, which I guess they
Awesome.
do like a premiere episode. They were very, very happy.
Yeah. You know what's
You know,
interesting about that? And I always said this to you, even when we started kind of getting closer and hanging out a little bit. I said that your family had a very amazing energy and a really great story. Like everybody in your family, I had worked with on a project, individually,
well, let me
separately,
just say
and
right now, every single member of my family could host this show.
absolutely,
Even my
absolutely,
father, who's not like necessarily on the same path as the rest of my family, kind of talking about, he would have a different take on a lot of the things that we might talk about. But
right.
my mother and my brothers and my siblings, and that's another thing that really hit me, and just like lo- you know loving your family, trying to appreciate it. I think it's a good subject. But was seeing like I had gotten to the point where I was feeling like, inspired by us as a group spiritually.
Hmm.
When we came together and we, sat in, spiritual circle, I was like, wow, like
Hmm.
this is pretty cool.
Hmm.
And I mean, that was really on behalf of me,
Hmm.
like, and
Hmm.
since I've sat with them so they could kind of air their grievances, um, which, um, which it's so funny, the reaction, so much to so many grievances that we have, with our family, I think when they are finally actually aired is a little bit of confusion and,
Okay.
more mortification because, most people don't do things that on purpose. Like, a lot of people, start to get this thing of that guy's vindictive. And I'm always like, no, no, no. Like, and it's because sometimes I've been mistaken because I was masking my sadness and my fears with strength and anger. You know,
Oh, there's the
and when
message.
people don't understand the way that you're, thank you, Nightbot. Nightbot has some real good ways to help us donate to Rock Against MS.
That's it right there. Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
that's awesome. And thank you, Numbers. I'm glad you love it.
Numbers. Thanks, Numbers.
Am I supposed to read Numbers? Is that the
listen, just
there they are. There it is.
These are the people who find you interesting.
921-1066. Thanks for writing in. So I was suffice to say, already really impressed with my family, on a spiritual level. And when we were on the stage and my dad did his little encapsulation, and I think he said something to the effect of, well, I tell you what, the coolest thing about it too was that Steve Harvey really like I wonder if he studied improv. I bet he did, because he was very not a denial comedian. He was like a go with what you say. Like he was like build off what you say. And so my brother Cody, he was talking about, he's a filmmaker, he's award-winning filmmaker, he's got films in production right
Amazing.
now.
Your brother's amazing.
And it was on Cody, and then it was on my sister, and my sister's a designer, and later Steve asked her how long she's been designing for, and she said 4 years. And he was like, well, 4 years, because she's the youngest of the family, and she's been designing for 4 years, and she's only like, I guess 23 or something.
Yeah,
because she's 15 years younger than me. So
wow,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then my brother Shane, he said, he co-wrote the movie, with Cody, that's in production. He's a writer. And
We got to get them on.
Yeah, and maybe he mentioned something else, and then he went over to me, and he said, and the other musician in the family, my son, and then later he asked me something about. It's funny. I really do these things very intuitively now. I try not to have a sense of myself, because that's always the thing that's tripped me up and made me so kind of terrified to perform ultimately. And it's when I go, okay, time to do the thing and, relax and go have a nice time, doing what you do. Cause, it's funny. My, I don't know if I talked about this last time, my sister, hey, Ninja Kitty, what up? Thanks for joining us. About, what was it? Yeah, see, these damn comments are gonna just derail me left and right. It's okay. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get the hang of it. I'm gonna get the damn hang of it, my friend.
Your family Feud experience, your dad.
What I was talking about, it was something about, well, whatever. I'll get back to it if it's important. But continuing on that main line, my brother Shane, he's a lot like me, and I don't mean to aggrandize myself as I say that. I just it was sort of a connection I made.
Most similar, yeah.
When he was doing the thing, he's really a great jack of all trades, and he's really adapted to many things. He's a puppeteer. It was so sweet. He and I had a long conversation the other night, and he said, there's a reason why I am a puppeteer and did puppet Shakespeare.
What was the reason?
My brother is a huge Muppet fan, and so is my mom. My mom turned me on to that, but I love the Muppets, and my exuberance for the Muppets.
Too, yeah.
He said, there's no fucking coincidence that we don't share, in and care about these things together and stuff, and it's cool because you don't see that perspective necessarily, as that stuff. But really, just to get back to Shane, so puppeteer, he's a writer, he's written a lot of different kinds of things. He wrote the award-winning short Fool's Day that Cody put out, which is being made into
freaking amazing.
And he's written a lot of other things, but he's also become like I don't want to give him the wrong sort of heading, but sort of like the head of media editing, lots of different online videos and whatever other shit that they needed done, and also I think commercials and shit that needed to be done. So he's become an editor, and he's also done a lot of behind the scenes things, working with plays and shit.
Yeah.
And
he's a production guy.
Yeah, he's really, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's somebody who's worn a lot of hats, can wear a lot of hats, and is
Mhm.
very diligent and good at what he does. And
Yeah.
I really love that. What is it?
So
Oh, I see
in
here.
tribute
So the
to
numbers is Maureen. So
yes,
now
the
we can call
numbers
her
is Maureen.
Maureen. There we go. Maureen, thank you. Nice to see you, sweetie. Thank you so much.
Uh,
And
wait, hold on.
and we appreciate everybody who on Twitch,
Yes.
gets to get linked up with Rock Against MS, and this will be an ongoing thing, but for those of you who can help their organization, you'll be putting your money in a good place. Anyway, and helping our show go on and the other shows like it, and
Yes.
helping us all to propagate and do more of these things. So so I just want to wrap this up a little bit so we can just kind of talk about the general feel of the day. But to wrap this up, I will say I just really appreciated the hell out of my family, and what a gift that was to like have each member of your family presented at a podium with sort of some grandiose,
Yeah.
introduction. And my mom just looks so fucking beautiful, and
I can't wait to see it, man. It sounded wonderful. Like I said, your family
she
is
is
amazing.
she was so
So, like,
worried.
it's like
I will say this: she was so worried about we both have have dealt with like a form of kind of dyslexia thing, but
right.
we're both getting over it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and she was so worried she was going to be like saying the wrong thing, and she freaking
You,
nailed it.
I
And
know the details that can't be talked about. It's great.
yeah, and I just really like my family was just really shined
It's awesome. So speaking of your family,
as a
I came
unit.
across this when I
What?
was looking for stuff, so I'm just gonna share it there.
Ooh, cool picture. Oh my God. They
Yeah.
did a photo shoot in my house the other day. That is so wicked.
Really nice.
Yes.
From the Family Feud people?
No, for his new album. And it is dark. And it
Oh,
is so
sweet.
cool.
Yeah,
His
these were from the
album is
Paramount, I
dark.
think.
It's cool. I've heard like the demos of that thing for those of you who like the heavy metal.
Awesome. Yeah,
Um
you know what I heard? The bass player is a friend of mine, Russell, and I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I saw him talking a lot about him recording. He's like, "This is heavy. You guys are gonna be surprised."
Yeah. I mean, I've just really come to really love. I mean, I should say I loved it immediately, but I've come to like really love it. The last record, I was a little heartbroken that my dad didn't really participate in the writing. And I said something to him to that effect of just like, especially just as a lyricist. And I was just
I
like,
think I remember you telling me that.
yeah, and I said, I know that you don't necessarily feel comfortable like production wise and like what what the right like melody and what the right music is of the day, and you're trying to participate, in the in the conversation right at this moment, and I appreciate that. I was like, but you're such a great lyricist, and
Right.
if you can't just like get your hands on these lyrics next time around, I would be so disappointed. And he when like one of the first things he said to me when we saw each other at some point a while ago now was like, I took your advice, and I'm writing the lyrics on the new record. And I was like, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So he really is. He's a brilliant lyricist, and it's actually so sweet too. I I really, if you follow me on Facebook, and I think I may have a little bit of room right now because I like emptied a bunch of people just to make room for some people from my other account, um, and I did this sort of sweet thing. I'm planning on doing one for my mom too, with the different outfits of Twisted Sister, like the different stylings of my
Oh,
dad, because she's
interesting.
been his,
Yeah, she's the stylist.
basically he's her main client, and she doesn't really get sung for some of the amazing freaking looks that she's done for him. So I actually reached out to my friend Mark Weiss, who's a photographer, friend of the family, and
Oh, I
he's
love
got
Mark
some cool
Weiss.
photos, and I think he's got like a range of like looks for me, and
Oh,
then
that's awesome.
I'm gonna see who else I can reach out to and what I can get like online or
Jesse,
whatever,
man, you are
do a
on
little thing.
fire. That's
But
great.
anyway,
I
I
love
did
that.
one for my dad on his albums, which I just
Yeah.
always wanted to do this thing. On some level, I felt like he was underappreciated, and I wanted to do something that was like a hey, easy way to get into my pops. Like take it from me, somebody who's his biggest fan. Like listen to these songs. These are so great. These are the things that make me love him.
Mhm.
Listen to these lyrics. It's so great. It's so from the heart. This is why you should really be a fan.
Right.
And I've been like breaking it up on Facebook into like a little smorgasbord of a thing.
Yeah, it's great. It's good reading. I love it. I love what you're doing.
Yeah. So it's something worth checking out. If I think he's going to share it on my dad's page over the weekend.
Oh,
So
sweet.
I'm sure a lot of people will end up seeing it.
That's awesome.
But it was just like a little love letter to to both my parents. I actually wrote my dad's thing a while ago. I've been adding articles to it, but
Oh, wow.
I wrote it like 3 years ago just because I've been wanting to write it
Oh, I didn't
forever,
know
and
that.
I was just finally just like, damn it, and I just started writing the damn thing.
Cool.
And I wrote it. I sent it to my dad, but it was like it was a bad time to send it to him. I think he thought I was like patronizing him or some shit. But
Right, right, right.
I very much meant it.
No,
And
no,
this
it's very
this time
genuine.
around, he felt
It's
very
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 genuine.
flattered by the whole thing. So
Yeah.
it's cool. So what are we talking about here today? Miracles.
Well, we were just catching up. That was quite a bit of catching up, but I'm super
But it's about
excited.
connecting with your family.
Yeah,
And
yeah, dude.
family, and
I am so
you know,
excited to see
at the
what's
end of the
going on.
day, this show is about communicating and connecting with the people you love, whether it be your friends or your family, your coworkers, and even communicating with the people that you don't love so much, and how to handle that stuff as well.
It's true.
It's all about the connections and the proper boundary making and all that shit. So we're gonna
Well,
we're
so
gonna
what, you
teach
know
you
what?
how to spiritually keep people at bay. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
you're actually setting me up perfectly for
perfect.
our guest today.
Oh, I'm excited.
And it's cool. I'm glad. Sometimes I'm thinking, as I'm producing these shows, I try to keep it so serious all the time. So I'm glad we're moving away from always being so serious. But our guest,
Why so serious,
our
Michael
guest today
Stern?
brings us to back to kind of the reason we started the show, which is the whole spirituality aspect. He's a great friend of mine. He is a psychic medium. And I'm going to bring him on. His name is Christopher Allan. I didn't really prepare an introduction, but I know he'll tell his story. He's also a great musician. He has a tribute band to Matchbox 20.
Michael, you didn't learn from me. You gotta,
I know. You know
you
what? You
gotta
prepared
learn the
such a
little
great
thing and
introduction for
introduce your friends
your
so that
co-host. But those were your co-hosts. Those were your.
I know. But still, it's just always that's like the thing to do because
I
then
could
they don't
talk
have
for
to
an
do it
hour
themselves.
about Christopher Allan before I bring him on, and
Well, maybe you should
we
for a second
agree
because
like we did the
well,
last
I think let's do that first because that's really the proper thing to do. And
time.
honestly, I made best friends with brilliant designer Kevin Christiana simply by seeing that the producer was about to make him introduce himself on camera. And I said, well, hold on a second.
You're going to introduce
Can
him.
I introduce him on camera instead? I'm
All
like,
right.
well, what do you want me to say?
Well,
And
so
he was literally like, thank you so much. It's so uncomfortable for me to introduce myself on camera. It really is. It's very hard for other people. So when you can do it for them, like I always try to be mindful of that as an interviewer person or whatever.
I hear you.
So that's why you saw me do that with Tori and Aaron because
Yeah.
I thought about I was going to have them introduce themselves and then I said, oh no, I don't like to do that, and then I immediately went, all right, I got to learn. And you saw I was studying their bio
No, it's
beforehand so
great.
that I could say as many things as
Listen.
possible.
All right, listen. So my friend Christopher Allan, he's a psychic medium, and I don't know. I know everybody's got an opinion about psychic mediums, but
Tell
I
us
think
a story that makes us like, ooh, Christopher Allan.
he's got some amazing
No,
stories.
you tell us one. You tell us one from your perspective.
My story is this. Okay, my story is this. My story is intention and manifestation and the laws of the universe. Okay, because Christopher and I went on a we went on a cruise probably 4 years ago at this point. And it was a spirituality cruise, and he was a guest on the cruise, and I was there, kind of documenting the cruise, and
how neat!
And we got.
What other kind of things were on the cruise, if you don't mind me just diverting for a
We
second?
were learning some Tai Chi. There was Anna Miranda was there speaking. Karen Garvey was speaking. There was a lot of kind of well-known intuitive coaches and spiritual people there giving workshops during the entire thing.
Oh, very cool.
And we actually ended up rooming together because we were both the single guys. And he's just such an amazing guy. We hit it off immediately. We had known each other a little bit from the music scene, but and actually I had worked for him a few times documenting some of his mediums workshops that he was doing at different hotels. But anyway, we ended up talking, and I was like, Chris, you have such an amazing personality. You're so good at what you do. It's so genuine. You know, you kind of give a different name to psychic mediums, a different feel, because you're just a regular guy and you're just incredible. And I want to do a TV show. And he was like,
I remember you telling me about him.
Yeah. I was like, that feels great. You know, he's like, that sounds great.
Is this going to get to some sort of like ghost comes through the door, Bigfoot shows up? I want to hear the part where I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened?
Listen, you're setting expectations right now.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to introduce my buddy. Okay. And I'm telling you where we met. And I'm telling you about how we manifested about a year after that. I said, you know what? Let's do a live broadcast. What we're doing right here was kind of the predecessor to that. I was like really into the live broadcast thing. I was like, we got to do a broadcast. And he's like, okay. And I showed him a studio, and we basically created a show. So we had a live show where he had a live audience of about 40 to 60 people. Mm-hmm. And he would do live readings, and he would actually read the people as they came in. And I was doing the camera, and we were, recording the show, and it was just amazing. So I'm just going to bring him in.
Okay. Send me his bio next time. I will introduce him properly. I was doing the camera work, and it was just amazing. It's not enough. I want more for our guests.
It's not enough that I'm producing the show. I also have to be a personality.
I'm going to apologize to him when he comes on.
Here he comes. I'm bringing him on. Christopher Allan. Oh my God, I finally got you on.
I'm sorry, man. Oh man, and look at this. We got him up and he's down, and now he's gone. His head's gone. Hey, Christopher. I'm sorry, man. Next time he'll send me your darn bio. I'll learn it like an encyclopedia, and I'll get the nails in the coffin, and I'll tell him about how you've been floating off your bed since you were 2.
Thank you. How you guys doing? Can you hear me okay?
We're a little rough there.
A little bit of a delay, but it's all right. I hear you. No echo. You're sounding good.
Can you hear him okay?
I hear him great. You don't hear him?
All right. He's a little weird in my headphones. Can you just give me like a check, Christopher?
Sure. Check.
Oh, okay. Much better now.
There you go.
For some reason, when he first came in, it hit me weird. All right, cool. Sounds good. I can hear you great. And maybe we can turn up your gain just a little bit.
Sure. I mean, this is the best.
Nailed it. That's perfect. Thanks so much.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it, man. So
I must say,
I
thought it was a fairly good intro, because it's more about the idea that we're really good friends, So yes. that's what he takes from me. It's
I've just been ribbing him. Where it's funny. I really like to have a what's the word? A sense of humor about the behind the scenes goings on of any things that I do, because so many things, it takes a minute, to get all the kinks out and whatever. And then also to, to have a rapport within the show that is more real. And at first, when he was sort of holding back as just a personality and stuff, I didn't say anything on air. And then I realized, you're really screwing up the dynamic that you want, which is just what it would be when you guys were hanging out. And I'm like, oh, well, that's true. I guess I should say these things, because that's really the thing that makes it friends hanging out. And that's really the beauty of us actually being able to enjoy it ourselves. and I think people, at home, especially, on Twitch, and the more intimate atmosphere that there is there, to be able to create a nice, welcoming thing to talk about spirituality and how to communicate better, and to sort of be more conscious in our everyday living. So
Amen, brother.
I thank you. So I want to ask you, for me, I just started doing angel card readings, and there is a moment like there is a Jesse Blaze from yesteryear who would have kicked my ass, and I find it so hysterical. Every time I do it, it's a little bit like you're about to do that thing that you would have thought was ridiculous. And I wonder if you ever had, if you had a crossover moment between where you were sort of aware of these things and where it became more like, okay, this is a thing. And because to call yourself a psychic, I got to just imagine it's got to come with a certain amount of like a little anxiety because of the energy that gets put into these words and the way they're bandied about, and the words get like muddied energetically. You know what I mean?
They throw us all into like the same pot, So when you think of psychic, you think of not only John Edward and Teresa Caputo, but also Miss Cleo.
Exactly.
So to me, the anxiety was really high when I was really young, because you could probably relate to this as Michael. My main goal was always music. That was like the end game, to write songs to move people. And
Yeah,
I
we
thought, well,
both love music.
you could be atheist and not believe in anything, and you'd be moved by music.
Yeah.
So to me, it was the most spiritual thing in my life was art and creating and music. So when I was younger, me and my parents would have these conversations of like, listen, this is great, me exploring my art, but here I am, and I feel like I'm supposed to read people and help people, and I was like, there's no way, if I were to make it big in the music industry, like if Billy Joel said he can communicate with the dead, how's that going to be perceived? And now I look back and I laugh at myself. But there was, when I was younger, it was more about this nervousness of like how people would perceive me. But now it's been, something that I've embraced completely, and I live it 24/7. So, that's awesome that you read angel cards. It's kind of how I started a little bit. But it's kind of weird because we always associate the occult or, tarot or, the parapsychology world is almost being kind of like men don't do that, like real men don't talk to angels.
There's a ton of interesting things about it. I think tarot is kind of frightening to people as well. When
people are afraid of what they don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of taboos attached to it too. It's funny. I don't prefer to read tarot because I find like people do their own readings, and in the angel cards, like they don't really know what's going on. I do, because I'm reading it the way that I've kind of intuitively been taught to, like I understand they're communicating with me in this fashion,
Right.
I just saw a angel card deck, and I'm a more feminine guy. I think there's a lot of trouble in the culture. We've talked about this in the class, because of the nature of the mind of the universe, the mind of God. It's two energies, and they're masculine and feminine, and everybody has both. And a lot of times when a guy has a lot of feminine energy, they kind of fall apart about it. I was never like I was definitely hiding it when I was younger a little bit. But when I got older and started working with plant medicine, I got a way better frame about sort of the universe, and I sort of relaxed and allowed myself to be more feminine. And so I have been drawn to more of those things, and I think it may still be sort of a more feminine energy thing where if guys who are in tune with their feminine, because the feminine energy, it's
tarot
lighter
in general.
energy.
You're saying is
Well, reading, psychicism,
Well-
like it's a lighter energy.
Right.
So to basically be in tune with that is to say on some level that you're more in tune in your feminine than you are in your masculine.
True.
And I know a lot of my now I see, I mean, really, like even recently, because I couldn't admit I was afraid. I was like really afraid of a lot of things, and when I started to wrap my head around that, I was like, yeah, this explains so much of my ungroundedness and all these things, because they're like lower frequency energies that I don't really exactly have in play as much as I should. But yeah, I don't know what's been your experience, with your psychicism and the masculine and feminine energies.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear like women's intuition, right? You never hear it be called, father's intuition or masculine intuition. So the concept is always associated with the women or the sensitive part. But I always prided myself on, even in my family, I have a beautiful family, but I'm always known as like the more sensitive one, or the one wears his heart on his sleeve sometimes. So, but I always looked at that growing up as like a wonderful characteristic of me. I liked the fact that I was a man, but I was a straight man, but yet I was in touch with my sensitive side, and I would be one of those, when I was younger, I'd be one of those people at the parties, that would see the jocks with the hot girls and the pretty girls, and you know they were getting drunk, and so they were messing up their game, and I was just in the corner like just waiting to make my move of you know, as they were drunk, you know, going to the pretty girl and going, hey, you know, let me play a song on the piano for you, or let me have a deep conversation with you now that you realize that your jock friend is a completely you know, not capable of holding a buffoon now. And so I felt like, well, these are traits. I love this about myself. Yeah. And so as a medium, I do feel like more people who are intuitive are in touch with that sensitive side of themselves. And so I feel like this is where we're kind of getting this shift. And I say this not in a derogatory way, but I feel like I'm the last of the straight mediums, because all my friends that are professional mediums, you know, they do have that balance of, you know, feminine and masculine. And so a lot of people in the medium culture now are wonderful, but you know, they're not straight, because the men that are doing it are, you know, are gay, but that, you know,
and
but
that's
that
so
makes
much
them
of what
so
I say.
Connected.
And there's nothing wrong with, you know, with whatever, you know, choices that, you know, people make. You know, there's no judgment of, you know, of gay lifestyle or whatever. You know, but you know, so much of you know, the peak of that conversation, I find, would be solved with some universal law conversation, like, hey, we're fundamentally crazy in a way that you may not have been informed. You know,
it's pretty crazy. Let me break this down for you.
Well, I just really feel like it's like we're like, you know, because society is doing this thing, and we're basing all of our shit that we put on ourselves, and you know, it goes across the board. The straight guys, like, you know, I like most every straight guy I know has some moment in time where he was like really like putting it up against the wall. Am I gay? Like, I swear, like it's like something that people do, like, because they're like they don't, you know, like things will be suggested and, you know, or in some video or offhandedly, and they're like, is that true about me? And you know, like people are very susceptible to kind of subconscious plants from the people around them, and everybody's, you know, always kind of questioning and measuring themselves in different ways. And you know, if people understood, you know, sort of the fundamental imbalances of the universe, you know, which are so much in the cards, and you know, is so much what, you know, we're reading, you know, the energies, the momentums of things, you know, I think people would be at a lot more peace than they are. And that's, you know, why I want to have these longer conversations about this stuff, so that we can communicate these ideas and people can start to understand themselves, you know, like, yeah, you're feminine, you're masculine. It's both. You might be one or the other. It doesn't mean you're gay, or it doesn't mean you're straight. It means whatever it means, you know, for you, you know, like, you know, but know that is true. And, you know, you may be a feminine guy, and girls love feminine guys, man. You know, I mean, like it's really like, you know, I'm very in touch with my feminine side, and you know, women always want to be in relationships with me. Like, you know, since I was a little kid, it was really hard for me, because like I would just sort of, it always broke my heart to break up with anybody. So it was like very difficult.
I brought Chris on the show because I thought he could relate to our conversation, and we haven't really talked about kind of his specialty. So
what is your specialty? You said there are many types of psychic.
Listen, you haven't experienced Chris. I think Chris he's more of an experience, really, like kind of like you are. Like, you know, you need to kind of be in the room and experience one of his dreams. But Chris, you do have a couple of favorite stories of mine, so I'm gonna kind of ask you to relay one, because I know Jesse wants to hear one. Maybe it'll give an idea of some of the way you work and some of the validations you receive, because sometimes it's just amazing. So the story is, and I'm hoping you're going to get enough details from this, because I don't want to give it away.
Wait, and after this, before I forget, can you tell us a little bit about how you set the space before you do a reading like that? Because I'd be very interested.
I think actually that's part of the story. So
is it? Okay, cool.
So there was a guy, and this is actually perfect, because there was a guy who was very masculine and kind of like, I'm not going to a psychic medium, and he came to you. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
His girlfriend brought him. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was actually maybe like just 2 or 3 years ago, and so there was like a lot of people, they'll make an appointment with me to see me privately, and then they'll bring like their boyfriend or their fiance, their husband, and they don't tell them who where they're going until they're, you know, already in my driveway, saying, by the way, this is who we're gonna, you know, this is where you're gonna be spending the next 2 hours of your life. So
good
this guy comes in.
You.
Exactly. I wish it never happens, but this time it was really interesting. So he comes into my office and he's like, "Oh, I don't know why I'm here," and his body language is all like kind of like this, and just kind of like, my fiance brought me, and so I said, I remember I was like, "Who's Carmela?" And just out of the bat, he goes, "My mom," and I go, "Well, regardless of how you are looking at this work right now, even though you don't know me personally, I'm seeing the most weirdest thing around you. Your mom shows me a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, and this guy gets up, and I thought he was going to be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm leaving. Like, I'm going to leave my wife here."
Because you never freaking know when you're just saying something.
Right. And by the way, when I saw the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, I seriously thought it was this idea of like, they don't believe, in decorating a Christmas. And so like their thing is to just have a tabletop little puny weak Christmas tree to say, I did something, So the guy was like, "Well, Carmela's my mom." And he stands up and he begins to disclothe himself. He takes off his shirts. He takes off his sweatshirt. And I'm like, is he going to beat me up? Is he going to try to get physical with me? And he takes off his t-shirt. So now I have a half naked man in my office, who told me he didn't really like psychics and didn't believe it. Now he's stripping for me, and he turns around and he got a Charlie Brown Christmas tree tattoo from neck to tailbone tattooed on his body, which was in memory of his mom, because that was their favorite show they watched together growing up as a kid. And I remember
how amazing is that?
I videotaped it because I was like, should I be like, in case Christopher goes missing tonight, like this is the last video taken on the cell phone that might be recovered. The guy turned around and he was like, for this big macho guy turning around and showing me probably the most, kitty-like tattoo I could have ever imagined him having. And it was such a big validation. But then after that, like I was his best friend, and he really realized, wow, like something must have shown him that just doesn't come to me. It's not like I have a J name and there's a lot of love and your grandma's passed. It was Carmela, which was my grandmother's birth name, and the tattoo of a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. So it's those validations that make me go, okay, skeptic or not, believer or not, like, energy is here to show you that, energy is survived, whether it's the energy of God, your guides, angels, whatever you want to call it, or your deceased mom.
Yeah, you can really think about it however you like. And I see people kind of cutting hairs about, it's God or it's that, whatever. Like, I think, really, for however you think of it, it is. And, to validate what you're saying, even more, I've seen that patterning of sort of pop culture references or something of the like, as simple messages, from beyond. And even to say from my own experience, which I just always find so funny, when they wanted to communicate certain things to me, I would hear like phrases or moments from pop culture songs that I now realize I had put a lot of energy into. And one of them was, "I choose you, Pikachu." Because I thought that was funny. And it was like it had become this really powerful word of the phrase of choice. And, and I would like say that like when I would think of things, and then the universe as a signal to me would be like, "I choose you, Pikachu." And I'd be like, "Oh, that's right. So you want me to get this?" And like similarly, like, "I have the power," from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, because these things have this energetic resonance to me, and they totally get you. And really, like, I've seen so many people melt over similar sort of references to things.
Without a doubt. And actually, maybe once a day with my clients, I'll mention a Simpsons reference because I'm such a hardcore fan of The Simpsons. So they'll show me things like I was seeing, the mom and the baby, Marge and Maggie Simpson. And the other day it was like, oh, that's my mom and my sister, Marge and Maggie. So they always show me pop culture references, which brings me, in case you're interested, I thought, this might be a cool thing to talk about. I've still yet to understand whether I feel like those on the other side that are interacting with us mediums or myself are actually, choosing to show me Simpson references, or just how my brain interprets what they're whatever they're trying to
interesting.
show me
I think it's a
is
little
how
bit
I'm
of a
getting.
combo.
Right.
That's
Because if
interesting.
I'd like to think that, like, you know, my guides or whoever's helping me do this are just as big of a fan of The Simpsons as I am, you know, or the
Well,
music I like.
I think, you know, the magnetism of who your clients end up being, and, you know, when you feel it, it's because it's right all around, you know. And I really do that, like, you know, that's really the thing of, you know, the polarity of the universe, you know. I tend to find, you know, you learn one extreme, and then you learn a measure of the extreme, and then you learn the extreme, and then the measure of that extreme, and from learning all of that you get to the balance in the middle. And with all things, to really understand it, it's a little bit of like it's the energy of a thing, and it's a few, you know, it's a few important, you know, pieces of information, you know. So much, you know, my I had asked in a very in a trusted Akashic record reader who killed with my family, and I asked, what am I, you know, like, what do you call myself? And they said I was a spiritual conduit. And I think that's an apt, you know, thing. You know, I'm very open to spiritual communication, and I, you know, kind of pick and choose and and work with who I'm working with or whatever. But I mean, generally speaking, now I work with God most of the time. But I mean, you know, that's not anything I preach on anybody, and everybody does it their way. But, you know, how do you you know, what is your view of what you're doing when you're connecting to these forces? And has it always just been really innate? How did you fine tune it as you got older?
I actually tell people, I think, like, when I was young, when I was really young, I probably gave my best readings when I first started out, because to me, I didn't really, it was just like I had psychic Tourette's come out of my mouth. You know, I didn't really think about what the effect I'm going to have on somebody listening. I just was like, I'm seeing this, 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 and this, and this. And before you know it, you know, it's like,
Wow.
wow. So
Yeah.
now that I'm an older, and I'm like, hey, you know, I've said it all, I've seen it all, you know, what am I going to see today that's really just going to kind of pique my interest? So then I realized it's not about me, it's about the person. So it doesn't matter about the monotony. But now I think about, you know, how is this going to affect somebody, or, you know, is this the best thing to say? So you know, I think I've grown as a medium, but I've also can say that I think my best work came when I just didn't really know exactly what was happening. But I do feel like, you know, I've matured because I've learned to realize that, and just like a TV show, you know, having producers or, you know, stagehands, I never give myself just all the credit that I'm able just to receive this. I feel like I had to mature and form over time a good rapport with what I believe is my unseen producers or backstage crew, my guides. So as I got older, the more that I felt like I had a relationship with these helpers, the better I think my readings have become. And so I think that there's a lesson to be learned, is like, you know, we're never going through this world experience by ourselves, whether you're reading people or not, or you call yourself psychic or not. You know, we have people that are guiding us, working with us, and if we strengthen that relationship to those, or acknowledge them, or call upon them, and really feel like there's a connection there,
Acknowledging them is the beginning, you know.
right?
I don't know.
Then your life in whatever way will be, I think, enriched, and you'll realize, like, you know, okay, there's more than meets the eye. You're not going through life alone. And I just, what you just said, Jesse, I do feel like people always use that word angels, you know, and I believe in that hierarchy of what can be called angelic beings, without a doubt.
I view them
But
as elementals at this point.
okay,
All of them, the demons and the angels, they're just energy on the other side of things. And, you know, elementals, you know, on a higher level are math, you know, so
right.
they're sort of, it's sort of ideas, and they're not good or bad. But when we live the idea, it can embody us, and you know, like the little fish that swim around the shark's mouth, you know, when we have that energy, there's energy for those things to live off of.
Hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. So, but they'll only, I believe, you know, work with us when we ask them to, when we acknowledge them, and we call upon them. You know, so when people expect, like, things to happen, or, you know, why isn't this happening? I feel like, well, have you asked, or do you just expect? So, with me, you know, things have happened in my childhood that made me say, hey, there's something to me But you don't realize it until you share it with people that tell you, no, this is not everybody. But it was as I got older and I realized, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's if I'm communicating with another consciousness or something that I can receive information from, they must be around me, and I have to respect, acknowledge them, and over time, I feel like they're kind of like my band, my unseen
Right.
band, and they all
I
have
wanna-
strengths
Your
and weaknesses.
production crew, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, I want to give you a whole bunch of real sweet compliments real quick, and also acknowledge a comment in a second. But one, you are on your way to be like you were as a child and better, because you have become conscious of the thing. And it's really beautiful. Everything that you just said is exactly what this show is about. And thank you for everything that you said. Really, please, guys, like, take to heart what Chris just said. It's
Yeah.
on the money. And this is how you grow. It's going to seem like you're losing step, and you have to be able to acknowledge that on whatever level, accept that, and then go, okay, how do I become conscious of my newfound consciousness? Because really what happened to Chris is that, as he got older, he started to get a little smarter, and as I say sometimes about, like, reading cards, where it's like, it's not about being clever, it's not about, being a part of a thing. It's really about opening yourself up to whatever's there. Because if you're putting walls up, they can only show you what they can show you. For one, they can still get to you, they can show you things sometimes, but they can't show you what they can show you if you just get out of the way.
They can't show you how to receive it.
Yeah,
it's the ego, it's the analytical
Yeah,
mind.
absolutely.
Exactly.
It's the human element that
Right.
I just had a conversation.
That
I wanted
damn
to share
element.
this with both you and Jesse. I really felt like I was just having a conversation with somebody where people always say, like, they want to become now more than ever, more spiritual. They want to become more spiritual, which sounds like a beautiful thing. Like, okay, yeah, finally. 20 years ago, the best way you can find a psychic or anything is in the Yellow Pages, and it was Madame,
Right.
something. Now, like, everybody down the block is giving readings or opening, and I think it's a great thing, But I was having this conversation where I feel like it's not so much about people that should be wanting to become spiritual. It is remembering that we were.
Already are. Yeah.
Already are. It's the remembering,
No,
not the
right.
becoming, like it's something new.
You're on the money. I have a few friends who have been opening businesses right now, and they're both really in various stages of erratic from the stress of it, and very spiritual people, but at the same time, like, when squeezed and their demons started to come to the surface, they didn't know what to do. And I think it's a little bit because of this sort of, like, there's like a spiritual coddling a bit. When I found out what was going on with my body, and I realized that essentially the ideas within me were what was causing it ultimately, and I needed to, like, resolve my heart, or anything I did to help my body wasn't exactly going to take hold. That's a lot of what's going on here. It's like you can do yoga and you can do a thing, but the problems will still come back in other ways.
Right.
So, and I think people, sometimes the biggest thing that stops me from doing anything, and maybe you guys relate to this, is me feeling like I don't really know what to do. I don't like,
But that's
hey,
what we're doing here. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying
well,
to, like,
and I think with
just talk about
spirituality,
regular stuff too.
but with spirituality, I feel like a lot of people feel like they don't know what to do.
Right.
For me, like, once you give a dog a bone, like with me, I'll just, like, kind of keep searching keyword after keyword after keyword, listening to people speak, downloading information. That's all I do, is just sort of, like, crunch information, either about pop culture shit that I love, or things that I'm really interested in about the real world. And I'm just kind of always, like, pulling in, information until I feel, I've got it. But, for other people, when it comes to this kind of information, especially, and I understand, because in the American school system and stuff, I mean, what do they tell us, to kind of direct us towards Eastern medicine in any fashion? It's like, it's really generally poo-pooed, for lack of a better word. How are we to know any better?
Yeah, it's weird because as a millennial, it's like I think a lot of people my age and even younger are feeling.
I was going to
all
ask you,
these
how
things.
old are you? Do you mind?
Yeah, so I'm 34.
You're 34.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of, you hear that the thin veil is thinner than ever between this world and the next, or that, wherever we get information or connection to source.
Yeah.
So, there's so many people, even if you want to, we don't have to take the conversation here, but I do believe like a lot of children with autism, are geniuses, and they might be picking up on stuff we have no idea, and they just can't articulate it. But they're the most sensitive, enigmas out there. They're gifted and they're beautiful souls, and we can learn from them. They just can't articulate the way that we can understand it.
Well,
But
I've come to realize I'm on the Asperger's spectrum, and I've seen, there's so many Asperger's people who I've known over time, and I guess they were kind of lights for me to kind of have a little bit of an understanding of what it was, because I was, like it's a spectrum, but what it really does help is all this, where your interests lie, the pattern recognition, the system building. They're all system builders. We can really build puzzles of information that'll stand the test of time. And ask the dude about the baseball scores, and he can tell you everybody's stat. If you ask me about superheroes and different rosters of the Avengers, I can tell you about them. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And like, I don't forget the songs that I write, and I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and melodies and things, and I remember them, and these are things that happen for these other people if their energies were properly applied. I mean, they are so brilliant. There's so much for them to offer, and I agree with you 100%. We have a little bit of that in my family in various capacities, and I think all of my relatives who are on the spectrum in any capacity have great value to offer the world.
100%. So we've only, the humans only use 10% of the brain, if that.
Right.
So just the capabilities are endless. But it's people ask me all the time, like, how do you do what you do, or how do I kind of connect? And I go, I can tell you the cliche stuff that everybody else wrote in a book, already, but I just say, like, just acknowledge it and be open, and don't let yourself get in the way of yourself. Just kind of ask to receive, and then wait for you to receive something, and just don't overanalyze it. Just become open. And it's easier said than done, but I really just feel like that's really how it worked for me. Is I had crazy experiences as a child and as a young boy, but I really feel like as a teenager and as an adult, I realized I just had to be open to it, and it would just come to me. So I just learned to pay attention, and I guess I care enough about people to actually realize, hey, this could help somebody. So I should be exploring this part of me, not for just my own interest, but because this has some value to other people. Right. Just the same way that if I was a musician, like I always go back to, you can have a little bit of a genuine part of yourself that you feel that you're giving to somebody to help them in times, to say, hey, you're not alone.
Your attraction to music, as well as, I really believe an attraction to resonance, and, when you're connecting to source,
Absolutely.
and you're giving a reading, how you say the things is as important as anything else. The energy that's coming through you, the energy that you're holding, the space you're holding for them. So, I mean, I really believe those things are tied hand in hand, and I'm sure that just makes you better.
Well, yeah, that's what I always talk about. They're all versions of an energy exchange. You know what I mean? When you write a song and you put it out there and you play it, you're giving this energy to someone's receiving that and responding to that.
Have you guys ever seen Disney's Pixar's movie Soul that has come out
Oh yeah.
yet?
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it makes me think like somebody over at Pixar must be like, a sensitive or channeler in their own right. But
they talk paying attention, or they were a Freemason.
wouldn't second guess. Double. I believe I get behind that. You never know. But in the movie, they talked about like in the zone. The artists or people that are sculpting, and the basketball players. Yeah. They're in the zone, and when you're in the zone, musicians channel music. Mediums are just channeling information, messages.
The sign channeler is incredible. Somebody sent me a picture and was like, "This guy reminded
my favorite
me of
character,"
you. And I was like, "Really?" The sign channeler reminded me of. I was like, "All right, I'm with it."
Yeah, well, that was the best part of the movie. I think was that character, because it just showed like, hey, you pass these people on the street, and to society they're crazy. But yet, look what they're doing. Look where his head's really at.
Totally.
Look what
it's amazing. Yeah, and what's so great is how easy they make the concepts to understand. Everybody can relate to that. Everyone can relate to that zone thing. I call it the flow.
Yeah.
But like, everybody relates to it. That's what's so great about that movie.
Chris, can I ask Michael a question for a second? And we'll get back to the flow state because that's a really cool conversation, and I have
Yes.
a little bit of interesting
What's
stuff to say about that. Maybe he will. What has been your experience when it comes to like channeling or connection? I one of my best friends. I've talked about talking the thing, whatever. He's like, I've never had an experience like that before. The other day, God spoke to me.
No, that's
Like,
a good question.
have
It's a
you
good
had?
question.
What is it?
Well, knowing, I know a lot of people like Chris who have these, we like to call them special gifts, but knowing so many people like Chris, I know that we all can do these things, and I certainly, at first I was going to say I believe that, but I don't believe it. I know it. I know that we can all do those things. I'm not there yet. I as spiritual as I like to know that I am, I know that there's more spiritual to be and more to go. So I'm good with that. So I don't personally, I don't speak to spirits the way that I see Chris do. And believe me, when I see Chris do it, I'm seeing him do it. I mean, I'm seeing it happening. I'm not just like responding to it. I'm feeling it. So there is another level of it with that. But as far as experiences go, I do have a great story, and this is related to a friend of ours, Chris, Linda
Linda, I
from
knew you were gonna say
Look
that.
Up from Adam. Yeah. So Linda lost her son from an overdose, and she created a foundation called Look Up for Adam because when he was alive, and Jesse, you would be fascinated. He had this journal that was like Da Vinci's journal. He was so brilliant. He was such a brilliant guy, and he had so many things going on, and it was such an unfortunate situation, opioid related, doctor related, whatever. But Adam used to make beads for people, and he would like say that these beads will help you, they'll make you feel better. And when he passed, Linda somehow, I don't know her story, maybe we'll have her on, but she decided to make these beads for people, and created a group that creates these beads, and for other angel moms is what they call it. Anyway, I had a set of these beads, put them in my car over my mirror, and I was driving with them, and they were just kind of dangling there, and they were catching my attention. And the story is really actually awesome because I was calling Linda for some reason, and then I hung up, and then I reached up and I held the beads just to like kind of stop them from swinging. And I had never met Adam. He passed before I met Linda. But I literally was holding Adam's hand for a moment. I was in another realm. I understood some things that Adam wanted to say to his mom, that I told her later in that conversation. And so I have had experiences that were what I would imagine Christopher has all the time. I have visited another realm and been like, I wasn't hallucinating, that was real, and known that I've touched other realms. So that's my experience.
You have to choose to really open yourself up to it. I've been resistant. My last like big experience I had not too long ago now, I mean just like a week ago or something, was I would call
while
it
you're thinking about it though, like why? Because I look at you and I hear you and I can the resonance of your voice and the passion behind yourself. I feel like you would be fantastic at doing this.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it. That's not ultimately what I mean, but I appreciate the compliment. I appreciate it. But it was just, you know, see, now I got thrown off my course. What were you saying?
The live
Michael?
stream of
The live
consciousness.
stream of consciousness. This is what happens because I want to give everybody's. I got a bunch of comments over here. I got a bunch of things in my mind. But what were you saying, Michael? I'm sorry. I'll just.
I was just talking about having you had asked me what my experience was. And
oh yeah, and I was saying about opening yourself up, and my last experience, which I would. It was really for me. It was a God kind of experience, but you could call it whatever you want, and it was sort of this like, why are you not allowing yourself to have full faith about it? And I was like, you're right. I understand, I do know, but there is a part of me that's sort of like resisting taking this seriously, essentially. And they were like, well, why not just let that go. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And I have felt a lot better since at a lot of levels. I've had a lot of work going on, so I've been kind of over busying myself with some things. So I'm still getting my old patterning together, but it's been really nice. And I think that's the similar journey I made with talking to dead people or whatever. Is this a thing? It was really like I think I told you the story a long time ago, Michael, but like a dead rock star was like coming through me, talking to me, and basically a pretty simple message. And he convinces me to like write a text message. And I was just not going to do this. And I
Mhm.
was literally reading the text message to myself, thinking, there's no way in hell I'm going to send this text message. And lightning shoots through my fingers and hits send. And I was like, ah! I start writing all these follow-up messages about how I'm crazy and drunk and, just forget I said anything. But of course I had to go and talk to this, dude. And it's such a journey. And I mean, just to get to that place where I was knowing that I was communicating on some level. And, for, you had said this earlier about sort of being open to it. And I kind of tricked myself to being open to God as a concept. And one of my friends is a little bit more like biblical, whatever, but I just kept I had started with these sort of groupings, the concept that energy was in groups, and that that I had like my grandmother with me and I had my best friend with me, and that the bees were being governed by a group, and there was like a larger spirit of the eagles, like the Native Americans thought, and there was the spirit of the storms, and there was energy that was governing these things. And then one day all of a sudden it dawned on me that God was just sort of a representation of the larger governing spirit of the things. And I went,
Mhm.
God? And as soon as I did that, because I was already open to these other energies, these other things that I was, kind of communicating with on a regular basis, it came through really big. Like I was,
Yeah.
it was like, yes. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Well,
This
we
is
talk about that
cool.
all the time. We talk about language all the time, and I think I had mentioned it last week. That was, and I didn't expand upon it, so I will right now.
The language unlocks the thing.
Yeah. So the word God in particular, for me, for a very long
It
time,
really
I had
opens.
such a hard time with the word God, and I realized it was other people's energy that was giving me the problem.
Yeah.
And it was just how religion has personified God. God is a person, God is a being, all of these things that just went against my own
Me
thoughts
too,
and
totally.
intuition, and then so I started replacing the word God with universe, and then slowly I was able to say, oh, God is the universe, God is
Yeah, it's
everything.
a word that means that, if
Yeah,
too
yeah.
many people are thinking it's some giant guy in a robe or something. So we got a couple questions. First one for you, Chris. I remember my birth, and I was wondering if that's a thing.
So what she's implying is
Remembering your birth, like I don't remember my birth, Michael. Any memories
I
of your
don't
birth?
remember experiencing my birth.
I can't say. I actually remember when I was 2 months old. I have, I can share from that experience. But for you to remember your birth is really insane.
Sounds traumatic.
That is a special gift. It does sound a little traumatic. What does the vagina look like on the way out?
They can obviously tell us.
Yes, straight men wish to know. Let's see. My autistic son has called out my dead family members' names. I believe that very much. My girlfriend was asking me about animals and stuff, and I said playing role-playing games as a kid, I learned a lot of magical things because they base so much of their stuff on real world. And animals and children, they're very sensitive and susceptible. And as we said, autism spectrum kids, they are very sensitive. And if we lived in a different world, and as we do live in a different world in the future, I think they'll show themselves to be a very valuable member of society. And to a certain degree, they are already, simply by living their lives vibrating in the fabulous frequency that they're largely vibrating in.
Right.
It's terrible if you see somebody who's autistic have like a tantrum or something, but largely they're like little batteries of good vibes, and those vibes are there, and they're listening to being awesome.
I always would try to explain it to somebody, and they actually use the terminology, the spectrum. Oh, he's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I would just always say, well, think about it. The spectrum, once you get to infrared and ultraviolet, as humans, we can't hear that anymore, but we have instruments that verify it's there. So we know that exists outside of the spectrum. So just like you said earlier, those maybe autistic people are experiencing those things, they're,
Oh, yeah. I want to address this comment. Angela Reinhardt, she says, I saw child spirits as a kid. My teacher told my mom I needed professional help because I was seeing this kid. And, it's really terrible. We have an epidemic of real misunderstood psychosis in this country because we don't understand the energetic and psychic realm. So many of the experiences that people have, the easiest example to talk about is multiple personality disorder, which is essentially a person who's very open and has, additional souls have come into their body, and they're having visceral experiences. If you look into some of these things, their eyes will change colors and stuff. I mean,
well,
we explaining this the way we are, oh, they're just crazy, is really just doing such a terrible disservice. We're drugging so many of these people up, and they really need a more spiritual understanding being put forth to help them deal with some of the situations that they're dealing with. So if you have loved ones who are dealing with odd situations, don't be so quick to just put them into the system, because the system does not do a lot of good
yeah,
stuff to help them, especially the military system. I watched my friend get, oh my God, they eventually gave
yeah.
him electric shock treatment,
Wow, that's horrible.
which was
That's
just like
harsh. Well,
crazy to
that's why
me.
we're here. Raise the vibration.
Yes, indeed.
You're raising it.
So
We're raising it.
wrapping
There you
up
go.
our
We're raising it.
comments, Taylor says, Jesse, do you think I can channel my mother? Her name was Barbara. Yeah, when you asked me this, I could. If you want, we can talk about it outside. Um, can we get information for is this all we need in order to get book an appointment with you, Christopher, and get like on your list?
Yeah. So, social media being such a big thing, on all platforms of social media, you can connect with me at Christopher Allan Medium, Allan with an A. Or, yeah, you can book online, or you can book virtual, in person right now, appointments with me through my website, imstillhere.net.
Very cool. And yeah, as everybody has been hearing, and I've been talking about just a little bit, I've been doing angel card readings, and I'm available tomorrow morning. I know there's a bunch of people who reached out to me, and I think I see some of them on here. So feel free to just hit me up maybe after the show, and I will book you in the morning. But thank you guys so much, and it's such an honor every time anybody asks me to read them. I just really feel like that is something. It's
Chris,
because I don't trust anybody to do it, so and especially so. Actually, can I just say real quick, like, shout out to Patty Parker, who was my first angel card reading. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. It became like friends and family were like, can you do a reading for them, can you do a reading for them? And then I was like guided to do it. I felt so weird about it. But my first reading, she sent me like a sweet like tip, like a gift, because like she had said that that's it, I'm her new reader, and she's gonna hit me every month, which was so sweet already. And then she sent me this bag of jewelry. I'm wearing one of the things here and one of the other things here, and I've got like a bunch of other bracelets, and I didn't have any bracelets when I was going on TV. And they showed up like the day before I was going on the Family Feud thing with my family, and it was like such a blessing. And it was just like a cosmic timing, and so sweet. So thank you, Patty. Shout out to you. That's so freaking sweet. So appreciate it. And please find Christopher. I am, I'm a good counsel, but this man really is at a stage of his psychicism where he can viscerally, connect with, the other side and information that you need in a way that honestly I'm not quite there.
I'm gonna try. I want to. Chris, can I bug you to tell one more great story?
Yeah.
Chris has actually been on the Maury show a couple of times. I'm not going to get you to tell. There was an actual crime that Chris was involved with, that he made a reading on the family that was involved with the crime. But
oh, neato.
The better story, I think, is the staff member that was there. So if you could tell the story of what it was you were feeling at first, and you're like looking around and nobody's answering, and then how that all went down.
Yeah, so that day that I was filming the show for the Maury show, my mom actually had a heart attack. So I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to make it there. And so they were like, what do we have to do to make it worth your while? And I said, I really want to, be on the show, but, I would love the opportunity to read the audience, so I can really just try to, make the most of the time that I have a part of the Maury show. So they're like, okay, you can read the audience, rather than just the quick interview. So
You want to read
they gave
Taylor?
Who's Taylor?
Let him tell the story.
I know, tell the story, but afterwards, you want to read Taylor? I'm like you. I like to just get in there and do the thing.
Continue,
Is that
please.
You say your girlfriend or something? Okay. So,
No. She's just
somebody
in
listening
she's in the
after.
chat room. She was asking about something else. Like she doesn't have to have a reading with me if she's got a reading on air with Chris.
Oh, I wouldn't want to take anything away from you, my man.
No,
But
don't take
I'd be
anything
more
away
than
from me.
happy to. But what he was sharing with, so I was on did the Maury show, and at the very end they gave me the whole studio audience, and I felt like for a moment like I had, like this is my dream. This is what I work for. I just wanted this moment so bad to showcase my talents on daytime TV. So I was reading the audience, and the energy was really good. And I was going just bing, bam, boom. And I knew I only had a little while because, they didn't have forever. And everything then stopped. Like I knew I had to do one more. But then every time I wanted to get something, I wasn't getting pulled where I normally do into the audience. And I go, oh my God, something's not working. And all of a sudden I just felt like, hey, turn around. What you have to share has to do with someone who's on the stage. And then immediately I'm thinking, oh no, I'm not reading Maury Povich. That's gonna be awkward, if you do that. But no, I was like, there was a little girl that was trying to come through to me, who said that she died like Joan Rivers, and I had to think for a second, like, how did Joan Rivers die? And it came to me, I'm like, maybe she died on the operating table because Joan Rivers died after having some kind of procedure, I think, on her throat. I forget. So I was like, somebody lost a girl, but I think it's right in front of me on stage. And this dude from the shadows of the TV set comes and goes, I just lost my daughter a few months ago. And I didn't know who he was. So I was like, all right, whoever you are. They got the camera and the microphones right in his face. And I said, your daughter is acknowledging, showing me Joan Rivers. And did she die on the operating table? And he goes, yep. She was a little girl, and they did a procedure on her, and they lost her on what was supposed to save her life. And then I said, I guess something about, I said the day she passed away, and he validated that. And then finally, I think I was seeing the aspect that she was coming through to tell her dad not only she was okay, but she realized that there was a girl named Brittany, who he said was his other daughter, and that there was turmoil between that relationship. And he said, you know what, after I lost this daughter, my family fell apart, and me and my other daughter really stopped talking for some reason. And he said, because of this, I'm going to give her a call. And that was a really powerful moment, because when they had me on the next time, I realized that this man that I read was actually Maury Povich's security guard for 30 years, like his bouncer. So he had seen everything, and he had lost his daughter. So, he gave me the biggest hug in the world, saying, and then when I saw him again, he said, me and my daughter that you mentioned in the reading are super tight again, and
Brittany,
I have you to
yeah,
thank.
he got back with Brittany. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
lovely.
it was this really cool
that's
feeling.
the best thing, when you can have the readings that can connect people and make people happy. The thing that really drove me to keep reading was I did a reading for my brother Cody, and he had it on his phone as his wallpaper for 2 or 3 years. I felt so honored, because it was a really good reading, which was why I called him. I was like, Cody, look at this reading, man. I was like, I just was doing this for you, and this happened to come up, and it's so good. I felt like I had to call you and tell you. And then he had that picture there, and that's the thing that made me go, oh well, I'm gonna keep doing this, because it feels good when you can get it right, which is just really just getting out of the way. I got a good question for you over here, Chris. Angela Reinhardt says, do you have any suggestions on how to shut out random voices when walking past a funeral home? They always scream at her.
I would say put a pacifier in their mouth, but you're talking about dead people, I guess.
Yeah, she says basically when she walks by a funeral home, she gets loud sort of messaging.
Yeah, it's weird because when I go to cemeteries, when I go to funerals, I'm so focused on the grievers and the human experience of a funeral that I really tune out a lot of activity that maybe I can pick up about
I do that
the person
naturally
that passed,
too.
you know.
Can I say to you, Angela?
And I
maybe
also don't
the-
feel like it's a place to share it. Also,
Yeah, well, maybe the proper thing for you to be doing, sweetie, is when you wake up in the morning, try to consciously meditate and pull your energy in. Pull your chakras in nice and tight. You've got seven main kind of energy centers in your body. Well, there's a lot of ways to think about it, but that's one that I choose to, which is a simple one. And pull in all that energy in your body and sort of mentally kind of seal yourself in the right way, and that you choose when you want to be sensitive, and try to keep doing that and reinforcing it when you go out, and just be, and this is being more conscious of this idea. You're going out and you're being susceptible to random shit. Okay, well then before you go out, consciously prep yourself that that's not the case, and consciously pull in your energy so that you're not just like an open wound, which it seems like you probably are if you're walking by cemeteries and like having that happen. Because I mean, I'm a channel, but like when I feel dead people, it's kind of like they're scratching at my neck, or they're like tapping their foot to the right of me. It's a gentle tug. It's not like they're yelling in my face, at least most of the time. So that's certainly not what you want to be living in.
psychic boundaries. Setting boundaries up. You
Yeah.
wouldn't always kind of keep your phone on when you're eating and trying to be normal. So why
Yeah.
the same with your psychic phone.
Yeah, people don't. It's your free will. Your free will is paramount, and like you can shout them out. Any sort of voice that you don't like and think willpower is really a thing. And when you get lost in a cycle, your bad energy can really be sort of maximized by the bad energy that's available in the universe. Whether it's sort of like you play some tag with your friends, as they come home and they just had a fight with their wife and now they're a dick to you, and now and the shit gets passed around. It really does. So last one. Well, actually, we already heard from Wicked Love Media, so we'll move on. Michael, what do we want to talk about before we get to the end of the show? We got our okay. Can we go back to the thing that you mentioned, the zone, the flow state?
Kind of. Really, I mean,
Let's see if we have time for it. Let's talk.
The only thing I had actually really prepared to talk to Chris about was, we talk about, this whole thing kind of came from your class on the 13 universal laws. We talked about kind of applying the 13 universal laws to ourselves as human beings on this human journey. But Chris, what you do is you speak to spirits who have already gone through the human journey. So I'm kind of wondering about your take on consciousness, like I guess where that all exists in the big picture.
Well, I think
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking like my definition of how as a medium I view consciousness, I just think it is just the essence of what we are. It's just it's just the I am. It's the thing that we will never lose. We might lose consciousness. We might become unconscious human beings, but that our superconscious soul self exists beyond the physical car. So
Yes, but you got to remember we're a double entendre, so we also mean consciousness. Yeah.
exactly.
Well, more so, I guess, I had actually mentioned it to Steve when he was on last week about the term "the other side." It's kind of saying that was a little bit like, I have a little bit of difficulty with that, because it's really like there is no other side. It's more like
We're the other side.
Inside versus outside. It's more about another dimension, or kind of another perception. Perhaps that's a better word.
Another space.
Exactly. Just or the side. It's the place to be.
The side.
The side. So
where the grass is always greener.
But there has to be a reason why, like, tons of us, like, who then pass away come back here. I'm a believer in reincarnation. So, I do feel like as beautiful as it could be over there, or as harmonious or as close to God and, and that source of love as it could be, there's also an attractiveness to this earth.
Something about the human experience. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something. So, it was funny if I could just share this because it's kind of fitting. Just
Yes.
the other day, I was regressed by a friend. I think he was on last week or the other episode you had before this one, Steven Durante.
Oh,
And
cool.
he regressed me, and I'm thinking
wow.
I think he's gonna, bring me to a past life, or to unlock some kind of like childhood experience or the fact that I'm adopted. So there was an interest about, if I can pick up something about like when I was a baby and, something about my birth family. And he brought me into some state and I, suddenly found myself in like a hamster ball is what I best can describe it. In this energetic ball of just pink gas. And he's telling me, tell me what you see. And I'm like, I'm just seeing pink, like pink space. I feel like I'm in like electric cotton candy. And he goes, well, what room is it? Is it a room? I go, I don't know if it's a room. It's just, I'm there inside it. And I go, oh my God, I am the pink. And I chuckled under hypnosis because I'm thinking, I'm pink. Like, not very guy, like to be. And I'm like,
Hey, our logo's pink.
I've recognized my soul.
I was going to say you were
and I recognized,
your
oh my
soul
God,
state. Yeah.
I am this. And I felt,
Dude, that's amazing. He's been telling me about this.
I felt the
I was trying to bring this out of him since the beginning of the episode.
I felt the electric pulse of my soul that did not mimic a heartbeat, but it had this pattern and rhythm that was just so almost intoxicating. He told me he wanted me to move on and go further, and I was like, dude, stop talking to me. I need to just feel this.
I'm really feeling it right now.
You
It
need
was
to
such a
shut
cool
the F up.
experience.
And I'm just going to sit here. I will pay you double.
Exactly.
Oh my God,
Dude,
I can't wait to do it.
I would have given him, yeah,
excited.
exactly. And so he was nice enough not to talk and let me in this, and
Wow.
it was amazing experience. I encourage anybody to look into like any type of hypnosis therapy.
Some
that
of
helps
his work
me.
has been amazing. Yeah. he's
Soul
been-
recognition.
Wow, what a
But-
great promotion as well for Steve, who we just had on the show.
Yeah, he hasn't been doing it for a while, but he's trained and he has
He's
an
got-
interest
he's-
in
yeah.
everything.
He's
Is
very
everything.
passionate and he's got a unique energy. So
Yeah,
perfectly
So,
suited,
Another person like you and I, Jesse, who is an instrumentalist, a musician on some level, all around music in
Yeah.
his life, and he's just
Yeah.
put the saxophone down, and now he is his instrument.
Yeah.
He is a channel.
So it's interesting, Chris. Like, I have like this mission that I'm piecing together, and part of it is the channeling is more usefulness of connecting music to people, because I really believe that as human beings we're all instruments, and we can do that Star Trek woobity thing where we heal our body with our instrument, in our frequency as we're and get and everybody tends to start singing somewhere where they're not exactly right to sing, but if you can speak you can sing.
Yeah.
And resonance, saying a single word and meaning a poem, having deep meaning go into each word. We tend to put our power away from ourselves in the words, a honeymoon and your birthday or a holiday, and then it's like every other day's lame in comparison, and same for yourself, and am I in my nice clothes, did I take a shower, and otherwise our power is in all those things. And reclaiming our power and consciously being able to kind of gather ourselves from this like prism that a lot of us become in this weird world we live in is, I think, the most important journey here. And I thank you so much for coming on the show and helping us to
Wow, that was pretty deep.
gather our ourselves and understand more deeply how we connect in these things. I really want to demystify them. When I do my readings, I I thought I was going to be really uncomfortable, but the way that I do them is just so transparent.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, man,
That's awesome.
is what it is kind of thing, you know? And it's great because I have another deck and I'll pull it out and I always get the same cards, you know, like not the cards that back up everything I say. And then everybody softens with the second blow. And, but it's really funny. You know, you can talk about these things in transparent ways. I think people have always had ideas about psychics being like, you know, shysters are trying to fool you. And, you know, I do think that in the past, especially, there's been a lot of egoic psychics, you know, but if you can find somebody who's not interested in putting themselves into your reading, that, you know, you can really divine information, you know, from anybody who can connect to the source in any fashion, whether it's through cards, through, you know, chips, through talking to, you know, the other side, seeing images, you know, as you know, Chris has a really wide array of powers, but you know, it's really, it is something, and it's explainable, and, you know, you can talk about it, and there's reasonable books to read. And I'll recommend, again, if, you know, any of this stuff sounds like, oh, well, that's not possible to you, read the book The Field. Okay, go on Amazon, The Field, and The Field really just teaches you the basics of sort of the aura and, you know, the bioelectric fields that are around everything, and ultimately that explains all of psychicism and all of so much of what's going on. You know, we're just like a big brain, and we're all kind of connected through our energy and such, and you know, that energy can be tapped into, especially by people who are obviously adepts from past lives. You know, I've said to my brother, you know, it takes many lives to become a master, really good at these things, you know, so don't feel bad if you're having trouble at the cemetery.
This work is all about, teaches one thing, it's the connection, it's how we all are connected to each other, and how, you know, that's what it's all about, to recognize that we are trillions of individuals, but yet we are all connected somehow.
That's my favorite part of all of this.
And then this is, you know, what people are starting to recognize now, you know. So that's why I feel.
And we're all on a longer journey, you know. It's like you don't think that you're like the squire, you know. You've been everything, you know. You've learned a lot. You're here to release yourself of these constraints and these ideas that you're a small thing and that you can't be personally powerful. You know, we're all personally powerful, and we destroy ourselves and we destroy our worlds with our personal power because we're never told how powerful we really are. And, you know, becoming conscious of yourself, conscious of your power, and conscious that you are the only one you can control. You know, you have free will, but so does everybody else. And, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to, you know, become conscious with yourself first, because I think, you know, anybody listening to this, you know, we want it to be better. We want things to be nicer. You know, we want to be able to have better conversations, better relationships with our friends and our family. And, you know, it comes with being more in tune. And, you know, this is a little bit of a lesson to you, Michael Zinn, because you are so open and you have so many powers. And I know I've told you before in conversation that I felt like people were kind of scratching at your door going like, take this a little more seriously. You know, we want to communicate with you. And, you know, as somebody who just kind of really tried to solidify their faith that they're not a crazy person, you know, of course you take it with a grain of salt within the 3D world, but you also try to apply these things as a whole and an understanding of what it really is. And you know what it really is, and you've been trying to live that way, and, you know, have a little more faith, my friend. I love you. And I love you, Chris, for coming on the show. You've been so wonderful, and we'll have you on again sometime in the future.
Oh my God, it'd be my pleasure. The entire time, you know, on this platform with you, sharing ideas and sharing stories, you know, the song that I'm hearing in the background as I'm talking to you guys and connecting is one of my favorites from Matchbox 20 that just sings, "I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell." You know,
I'm not crazy. I'm just
the recognition, you know, that.
Well, I've realized that I need to either put Jesse over here, or I need to redesign the
well, did you see? I compensated for it. I moved my camera. It took me a minute to do that. I was like, you know, this for a little while.
Actually. Yeah, no, that looks good what you're doing there.
Here it is.
So Chris
Michael Zinn and Jesse Blaze Snyder, the live stream of consciousness face.
I just want to give also Chris a little shout out. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, can we promote you in any other fashion than we already have, Chris?
Chris is also doing a live broadcast very similar to what we're doing. Not same subject matter, but interesting stuff. Why don't you talk about that?
Yes. So, Michael, before COVID hit, the world, we were doing a in studio live show where I have a studio audience that I read every month, and we were calling that "Keeping the Spirits Alive," where we would stream and I would give readings to the people in attendance and stream it to the audience on Facebook and social media.
Play on words.
With COVID, I now every Wednesday I host on Facebook Live a live stream called Wine and Spirits with Christopher Allan, and in the next 2 weeks I'll be premiering a podcast called Beyond the Light. That will be available on all podcast platforms, and I'm really excited to, release that. So,
awesome, Angela! You got to check out his platform. I'm sure he will be some good guidance for you.
Yeah,
and better than I am. I've been doing my best to help you, but I think he's dealing with some of the things that you're dealing with.
Yeah, Angela's more psychic.
But you're absolutely incredible. So thank you both. But yeah, you can learn about me just at my website, imstillhere.net, and it'll direct you to everything else about me. But thank you for the time. Thank you for the conversation. It's refreshing to have a conversation like this.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting the show, Christopher. And please,
then we got to just
can we say bye to him? Can we we'll let you go, and then we'll just do our little wrap up for Rams Network and everything.
We'll do that.
Thanks
thank
for
you,
having.
Chris.
Thank you for coming. Please, I can't talk. You know what I mean. Later, man.
Talk to you later, buddy.
All right. So another fabulous edition of the live stream. Is this our second official live stream of consciousness?
This is our second one, and Chris is still there. Nope, he just popped off. I thought he was still there in the background, but
love you, Chris. That was great. So cool. He's a great guy, great guest.
He's so amazing. Such a real, genuine. I mean, I would send anybody who is like a real skeptic to him to see him work, because then you'll just be like, oh shit, this stuff is real. He's the real deal for
sure. And I guess I'll say a little something that I thought of earlier to wrap up this thing, because it's kind of cool and I feel like it's a good motivational message.
Okay.
But when I was in Peru doing ayahuasca, I came across this book that was there, and I was drawn to it because the title was something to the effect of The Dawn of the Superman or something like that.
Okay.
And when I read the book, the whole introduction was ultimately about extreme sports and the flow state. And they were talking about how the perception of what was possible 40 years ago and the perception of what is possible now, because what has already been demonstrated, is insane. And this guy just broke down every single thing, and just how these records are just being shattered like you would not believe. The unclimbable mountains are being climbed, all this stuff. And he had all these quotes from these people talking about getting into the flow state, a state of no mind where they are literally making magic on the mountains.
Right.
And I just want to say to our audience, take it from me and, so many of these people we're having on the show, psychics, these connected people. When I got to a point where I felt like my life hadn't amounted to the things that I wanted it to, and I started to become more spiritual. When I got to that spiritual place and I looked at things, shoot, what was I just saying? Sorry, I got distracted by the stupid comments again. I love you, comments. You guys are great, and I'm going to thank you in a second, but it's like my ADD is the worst thing. What was I just saying?
You were talking about not thinking that you had amounted to anything and you got more spiritual.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, crap. I'm like, I got it.
You got it. He lost it. Got it.
I looked at my life and I looked at where my successes were. And I realized that my success came from my unconscious, my intuitive nature, my flow state. And most of my failure came from using my intelligence to destroy myself in situations in various capacities. And this is why I've really come to kind of poo-poo being like a genius. It's
I
like,
love
you
saying,
know,
I love what
it's
you're
like
saying, dude.
it's like, yay, I'm a genius, but oh man, kind of the smarter you
But-
are, the worse it is for you, because you have to untangle all of this bullshit, because whatever you believe it is and you achieve, and you know, there's so much to kind of wrap your head around. But when I saw that, I went, well, I have to live a more intuitive life. And that's really what I've been trying to do, because it's sometimes the intuitive life dunders you into a lot of catastrophe, but it's catastrophe that's meant to serve you so that you can learn and that you can grow from it. And catastrophe can lead to brilliance. I've had many situations recently where I thought things were going to fall apart and they didn't, you know, and part of it was because I didn't panic. I didn't go to a place that was
let
bad.
go
I
of
just
that
said,
feeling of control and
yeah, I just said, I'm going to
and
have
just trust.
faith. And
Exactly.
you know, really what's going on when these people are making magic in the on the mountain and flipping more times than anybody's ever flipped and all this stuff, is they are having supreme faith. They're getting into a place in this zone where they can perform at this really high level, because if they don't, it's life or death. And now in life, Albert Einstein talks about getting into the flow, and plenty of people talk about getting into the flow, and that's where you get your best ideas and the art comes from, and so many things. So, you know, really trust yourselves, guys, and you know, try to open yourself up to that place where you can be in the flow and you're not getting bogged down by all of your thoughts. All right. So
All
let's say thank you to everybody who was with us all night long. Taylor, Angela, Wicked Love Media. Yeah, there's some other people.
Yes. Actually, we want to thank specifically Wicked Love Media. She has actually made a donation to Rock Against MS for us.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thank
we
you guys
wanna
so
thank
much for
her.
helping us
That will help us.
rock against MS.
Yes.
Yes.
So we got to
Thank
come up
you.
with a song or something for that.
We do. Rock against MS. Thank you, Original Kens. Thank you, Ninja Kitty. Thank you, everybody who came down tonight and enjoyed the show. We appreciate making it for you every week, and we will be here every Thursday. And join us if you like geek culture stuff. Next Tuesday, I will be here with Aaron Sparrow and Tori Ireland Mel, doing some conversations about Godzilla, which I'm seeing on Saturday. Have you seen it yet?
Oh, I did. I was actually going to talk about it, but I didn't.
Oh,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
spoil
you'll
nothing
love it.
for
You're
me.
going to love it.
I'm excited.
It's a fun ride.
I'm excited.
That's a
All
whole
right. I
that's
love
a
you,
whole different
Michael.
show.
Yay. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
I
Bye-bye.
love you too. You guys, listen, definitely check us out next week, and we will
Check
see
us out next week for another exciting adventure of
I'm
the
looking-
live stream of consciousness.